Weekly, Tuesdays, May the 7th through to July the 2nd, 6:30 till 9 p.m. £25 per class, or to purchase. Enroll now, 9-week holistic herbal health course. Learn traditional African concepts of health, the art and science of nutrition and herbal medicine, detoxification, importance of sleep, natural remedies for stress, herb walk, herbal preparation, tea tasting, microgreens growing, and much more. Where Tea Chances, 399 High Road, Tottenham, London N17 6QM. Weekly, Tuesdays, May the 7th through to July the 2nd, 6:30 till 9 p.m. £25 per class, or to purchase full course, call 079 497 13639. That's 079 497 13639. See you there.
This is called the cancer bush.
Oh, I've heard of this. The cancer bush.
It is from nature that diseases arise, and from nature comes the cure. Dr. Paracelsus. Cancer bush, the hidden herb that supports and treats cancer patients, is brought to you by Mother Nature's traditional herbal remedies. Cancer bush is the miracle herb and can also treat these following conditions: cancer, chronic fatigue, depression, diabetes type 2, piles, hot flushes, gonorrhea, syphilis, hemorrhoids, chlamydia, rheumatoid arthritis, tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, mental stress, lupus influenza, swine flu, and more. To find out more, and if you or a loved one are suffering from the following conditions, please head over to our website on www.cancerbush.org.uk. If you'd like to email us, please email at info@cancerbush.org.uk. You can also call us on 0208 993 4870. That's 0208 993 4870, or 07943 144 544. That's 07943 144 544. Cancer bush, the miracle herb.
Rastataya, Rastataya, Rastataya. This is the Shaka from station to station to tell the generation and the nations. Rastafari. Education is the key. All youth strive for development. Rastafari. Love is the key. You can give them that. Give them that message from me. Blessfm, no cigarette smoking in my room. Yeah, I still want Marley. Blessfm radio, play good tune.
Welcome to the Wisdom of the Nile show.
This song goes in the memory of the beloved prophet Naba, Musa Mordinabig, the Dogon priest, Mahir, the truth teller, Bisinabasa, which means I'll be appreciated after I'm gone. He's the man who overcome the devils with love. He's the man who speaks because he has something to say. The man of wisdom, the definition of humanity. Mahir, he comes from far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away, far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away, from far away, from far away, from far away. and not by fear, not by fear. His greatest wealth is the richness of his soul. He's the man who lives by faith and not by fear. He's the double-edged sword. He's the double-edged sword. He's the key to unlock the treachery. Follow truth and you shall find him. He's the definition of humanity. He's the beginning and the end. He's the prophet. He comes from far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away, far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away, from far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away. Bob Marley says, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophet while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We gotta fulfill, we gotta fulfill. Come to Maheru, 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 come. You got your own told story. He come from far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away, far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away, from far away, from far away, from far away, prophet from far away.
Ujayi, tribute to Makeru from King Bala of Togo. Ujayi, we welcome you to the Wisdom of the Nile show. And before we go any further, we firstly would like to acknowledge the world of the divine, and we acknowledge our ancestors. Ujayi, welcome to the Wisdom of the Nile show. Brought to you by the Earth Center, a cultural and spiritual non-profit organization. We want to welcome and greet all our listeners out there. And we want to say welcome to all who are in the studio here with us this evening. We're going to go straight into the show because, each week we have been given information from the Kemetic traditions. Naba Lamusa Morandenibek, for those who do not know who he is a Dogon high priest who brought the teachings from the temples here into the West, so that those of us who were exiled, taken away from our homeland, can once again learn our traditional ways, learn about our ancestral heritage, and to get a chance to live the wisdom of the ancients. And this evening, we want to welcome again the son of Naba Lamusa Morandenibeg, Naba Iritah Shemnira, who himself is a priest from the Dogon temples and who has come to the UK to spend some time with us. He has set up schools here in the UK. In Canada, he teaches. In the States, he teaches. In Iritah, which is what we call Africa. So without further ado, Ujai, and welcome to the show, Naba.
Ujai Katasta.
It's really wonderful to have you here again with us this evening, because we had you here last week and there was an explosion on the internet. People wanted to hear more from you. And so we have actually had to be collating questions from people. And so we really want to make sure that we make use of every minute that we have you here with us, because we know you only fly in and then you fly out because you're wanted all over the place. So again, I really want to thank you for coming here and being with us this evening. Now, Naba Lamusa Morondenibeg and yourself come from the Dogomba people.
Yes.
From the tribe, the Dogomba tribe. Now, before we start to go into the questions, could you tell us, because there will be some listeners who don't know who the Dogomba people are, and maybe you've never heard of the Dogomba or the Dogon people. So could you first of all, before we start firing the other questions, just tell us who you are and a bit about your people?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Katasta. I would like to say thanks to all of the listeners, and also for those who kind of, took time to listen to the show last week. I would like to show my gratitude and say that I'm very honored, by the comments and all of that. Yes, we're here to really share the knowledge. And yes, we are the Dagomba people, or some people call us Dagbamba. The European are the one who name us the Dogon, technically, which means the landlord, the owners. And we know the landlord of Africa. We are actually the landlord of some area of knowledge, or some area of the mystery studies and, mystery aspect of existence, if we have to say that. During the time of the pharaohs in the Nile Valley, there was a time where the invaders, when they were able to invade the temples, there was an order that was given for people to kind of travel, to kind of, migrate. The migration was something that's very intentional in the way of trying to, preserve the knowledge that have been already kind of, mastered and, archives and all of that. And those knowledge can go from spirituality to physics, to geometry, to astronomy, mathematics, chemistry, science in general. Mm-hmm. And in those, field, our ancestors did not want those information to fall like in the hands of certain people. And somehow, which was really the reason of the invasion, then we were obliged to our ancestors were obliged to migrate, and we end up finding ourselves around West Africa and some part of Africa. So the Dogon people, we just like people like every other people, but who happen to be dedicated, into certain field of existence, of knowledge of existence and life.
Yeah, so you say the Dogon, are, just a set of people, but we know out there in the world, if it was any other community, any other where in the world, if somebody could show their lineage from the pharaonic times until now, just even to grasp that, That is huge. I mean, we know that those who study Egyptology, they actually call it a dead language and a dead culture. What you are saying here this evening, that this culture is a living culture and you're still practicing the practices from then. Is that what you're really saying to the people out there?
That's technically what I'm trying to say, which is really like I'm just trying to make sure our listeners understand the difference between studying something and then learning something. The people, who came to those that Europeans sent, once the European felt like they were able to, they conquered Africa, and they kind of train now, some children of Africa to take over and to rule Africa for the benefit of the colonizer. What happened is that those people coming to actually study us. You cannot go to a place and claim that you want to study a people. To study a people will take you generations. To live with those people, live just like the way they live, speak their language. And once you're able to do all of that, then you can kind of, say that you are not from them, but you understood them and you know them. But actually, the people who came to study Africa did not know Africa. They didn't live with African. They didn't understand African, because those people, at the end of the day, will end up calling their own lands their home. They're not going to call our villages and our lands, our temples, their home or their villages, or their temples. So what happened is that, the culture still live. I mean, in the West, I was very surprised to come in the West and then saw that people are studying, culture.
You were surprised?
I was so surprised.
Why is that?
Well, it's almost like saying that someone telling you, it is someone who does painting, telling you, I'm studying painting.
Okay. Because you live it.
It was
surprising for you to.
For me, it's surprising, to
I hear you.
You live culture. That's why it's called a culture.
That's
because you
right.
live it. You kind of get to really express your genie, like your intellect, your spirit, your mind, your soul. Everything has to be living it. You have to be able to manifest all of that within the realm of the culture of those people that you might call like Dogon or Yoruba or Igbo or anything like that. You have to be able to really live the culture. So we still live in our culture. Our culture didn't die. We still live in it. But somebody who is from outside who's coming to study our culture will be the one who will be thinking that, whatever existed in the Nile Valley kind of, is dead. But it's not dead, because everything is still happening. We're speaking our language, actually.
Right.
How come can somebody who only knows how to speak only one language, and that language, that's a composition of at the most 28 sounds and 26 letters. How can somebody like that come and say that they're trying to study like the Dagomba people or Dogon people? But we speak our own language. You don't even know. Our language is based on sonograms. Our language is based on ideograms and all of that. So you can't come and say that you're studying us. So you have to be able to live with us to understand.
So, again, what you're saying is, English, which is derived from a number
of many other languages.
Of other languages, which has just 26.
Actually, dead languages, Latin.
Latin, a dead language.
Yeah.
And then they want to now study a living culture that has its genesis over thousands of years, rooted in tradition and times. And that mind that can, with that kind of thinking, now wants to study something that's bigger than it. And you're saying that that's not really possible.
That's like, a chick that is still, in formation, or that's still becoming inside an egg, trying to understand what an egg is.
So we would have said them just come. They just come and they don't really know, but they have to put it in their way. All right, we have a number of questions. So one of the questions that I have here for you, it says the Dogon are normally associated with Mali and the Sirius star. Can you please elaborate on this?
That's something that I'm accustomed to.
Yeah, you're used to getting people asking about that.
Anywhere I go. So, yes, the Dogon and their culture, or our culture, were introduced to the West through European who came to study us, who came to discover. Actually, they were coming to colonize us. And then they end up finding out that these people cannot be colonized because there's a lot of mystery about the way they live, even about the way they kind of even build their houses, the way they do their things, the way the family structure is. It's difficult to really colonize them. But instead, let's have humility and then see who they really are. They happen to know everything, So those people visited Mali. Mali is an abstract country. It's not really real, because to call Mali a country, we call it a country because of the colonizer telling us to call it that way.
Right.
Because the borders and the limit, the line that they draw are not really, there. It's just in human being imagination.
That's right.
I can call England or Great Britain a country because it's in between water. It's an island. So I can call Jamaica, a country because it's an island. So it has its name by itself. Africa is a big continent, very, very, very big, and even we have what we used to call the place that we call now Mali used to be called French Sudan. And then the place that we know as Chad, and Sudan, Niger Sudan, and all of that used to be called the English Sudan. So there was like a French Sudan and English Sudan at the beginning. And after the conference in Berlin to divide Africa, that's when they were when they were splitting Africa, that's where they split Africa that way, and then we have Mali. But around Mali, when you look, for those who know the map of Africa, when you look the place in Bajangara where the Dogon first existed, you will see that there's and you follow even like to find out about the Dagara people, to find about the Gurunsi people, to find all of the other tribes, Tem, Moba, Gurmanche, and all of that. You will see that those people are living on an alignment. Okay? Those tribes or those group of people are living on alignment. Now, the one who was really ignorant, who did not know what he was doing, because they sat down in Germany here around the table somewhere to split Africa. They didn't take into consideration like we live as a group of people. We just don't live as a human being. So they split the continent in the way that some of the Dogon people remain in the place where we call Mali today, and then a group of those people are like somewhere in Burkina Faso, a country we call Burkina Faso today. Some of them northern Ghana, some of them in northern Togo, some of them in southern Niger, some of them southern Chad, some of them northern Benin.
That's a
and
huge
then, so
area.
it was a huge area that we were able to, our ancestors were able to really kind of live on. Just strategically, that was a better way for them to live around those areas, and they live like on a big space of land. And it was difficult at that moment during the invasion, it was difficult for those invading to cross the Sahara Desert to reach them over there. So it was kind of strategic. So
survival.
Yeah, that would be like what, I would say that confusion of thinking that the Dogon are only in Mali is coming from the two French writers who went to Mali and discovered the tribe there and write about it. And nowadays, even if when you go, I think that gave us a good reason, our people good reason to keep hiding ourselves now. And since those time, our people have been hiding ourselves. They've been hiding themselves and hiding everything, hiding the culture. Because once those white people were able to discover the land, they somehow, through them and through their reports that they brought to the West, to their universities and to the West, their political government, got involved in, trying to really understand, because taking the archives of people and destroying their culture was like the agenda of, the system or the government ruling the whole world right now. Like the law is like no culture needs to exist. No culture that's kind of predates the colonial era needs to exist. Everything needs to be wiped. So then that took them now to have an agenda which was co-signed by UN to consider or to decrete Bajangara as a World Heritage. And since then, all of the, European, who kind of wake up from after being drunk in their money, or their parents' heritage that they left them after slavery and all of that. They don't know what to do with the money. They got drunk. Let's go to Africa. Let's go discover the World Heritage. What does that even mean, the World Heritage? That's like to say that we don't even exist anymore. Or
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why we keep our ancestors kept, kind of hiding themselves. Now coming to the how do you call it? The Sirius star. That's big. That's big to the point where even if we have like 10 hours here to talk about it, we're not gonna be able to finish talking about the Sirius star. And the connection, what I can say about that is the connection of the Dogon tribe to the Sirius star is something that came from hard work. It wasn't a luck. It wasn't a chance. It was just like dedication and hard work. And after generation and generation after generation, were kind of the researchers and hard work was really involved into everything to be able to get to that stage where we were able to get the manifestation, where everything, the universe now has to manifest itself to our people. But hold tight, because it's not every Dogon that is well known when it comes to astronomy. Because we have some Dogons who are very, very well known when it comes to building houses, when it comes to, healing people, using nature, understanding nature, using it to heal people. When it comes to working like the iron and things like that, we have those segregated, so those kind of sectors where every line is dedicated to. Now, to say that, all of the Dogon, we discovered the Sirius star and all of that would just be like, okay, yeah, a bloodline or a group of people within the tribe that dedicated itself to understanding the mysteries of whatever we see, every night in our sky was, coming from those people. And that's how they end up really discovering what. But to say, to give a little bit of understanding of it, you have to understand the planet we live on in order to be able to understand the other celestial bodies. Because, you can just disregard the planet we're living on, planet Earth, and go thinking like you want to understand the moon, the sun, the planet Mars, and other planets and Sirius star. No. So our ancestors spend a lot of time humbling themselves and submitting themselves to the law of nature and the law of the Mother Earth, in the way that the planets allow them now to be able to access those information.
And it's amazing because, I mean, the calendar is real. You actually have a calendar, the Kemetic sidereal calendar.
Yeah.
And this one, which I have in front of me now, it says in the year 418.
Yes.
And then I know there's a whole story behind that. And I don't know if you want to go into the fact that it says 418, because you have what we call a great year, a medium year. So your great year is
1461. Yeah.
Now, this calendar is not a solar calendar. It's from the Sirius. And I mean, when I first saw this, I had to get my head around this, that your people had maintained the calendar from pharaonic time. So we don't even have in here a 7-day week. You have a 10-day, which is called a decan.
Decan, yeah.
And this has been maintained for thousands of years.
Yep. Oh, I can just say a little bit of, since we're already introducing it and talking about it.
Please do.
It's just, this calendar, the calendar on which our people really, understood. They understood the universe differently because they questioned the universe in the most honest, the most humble way. And with the goal of preservation, or the goal of evolving. Our ancestors didn't just question the universe to use it and then control one tribe or control another people somewhere, or control one people in another land. They use, their researchers to just be able to, evolve. Evolve means what? We are human beings, okay? We die, we dirty, we sweat, we get hungry, we get sick. Those are the human, nature weaknesses. Okay, the gods don't have that. No matter what God you believe into, if you believe in Allah, Allah doesn't get sick.
Okay.
Okay, Allah doesn't get tired. Okay, no matter what God you believe into. Okay, you believe in Jehovah or who, it doesn't get sick. They don't get sick. They don't get tired. They don't get all of the, they don't sweat. We cannot be allocating our qualities to the God or our weaknesses to the God, but we are the one to trying to apply or to trying to raise ourselves to meet the standards of the gods. No matter what God you believe into, if it's Allah, you have to be able to raise yourself. Your inner self, your awareness, your conscious and your subconscious, and your quality and your morality to fit whatever your God is. Okay. Now, in trying to do that, our ancestors understood that we can't depend on the sun to follow time. And we cannot depend on the moon either to follow time, because the moon and the sun don't have a perfect cycle. Meaning, what do we call cycle? A cycle is something that starts on one point and comes back to that same point in the same exact time lapse. Okay, so following the sun, it takes the sun almost over 50 years to always come back to a point, but it doesn't always come back to one point. So that's why we have like the solstice. That's why we have like the equinox and all of that, because the earth has to be forcing itself to adjust to the demands of all of the other celestial bodies. Now, the moon also doesn't have a good cycle. So the moon will take the moon 18 years and 11 days to be able to make a circle. But that circle doesn't finish on the same point where it started, at the same point where it started. And then we can't trust it. So if you have a culture or a religion or a calendar that's based on the sun or on the moon, that's something that is like you are out of time. You are out of time. In my place, we'd say that, you know, when you don't have time, you don't exist. And when you don't know time, you don't exist. Now, if you knew time and you start, being aware of time, you cease to exist as well. Our ancestors refused to cease to exist, even though Europeans and even though all of the other people from other lands and all of that try to make sure that we cease to exist. We refuse to exist by just making sure to keep time. And then we kept time, and even the 2,000 years, over 2,000 years that our culture have been hiding, we kept time and kept following time, approaching time in the most honest way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
So
Naba.
this is actually a calendar that's based on the Sirius star that the Dogon are known for. And the Sirius star happened to be the only star that has a perfect cycle. Sirius star will leave a point and come back to the same point, exact point, in the same lapse of time, every time. They follow it. And then following it, it takes always the Sirius star 1,461 years to make a full circle. What people don't know about the Sirius star, a lot of people think the sun is the center of our existence,
galaxy,
right?
yeah, that's
Our
what they
universe,
say.
right? Yes. Let's be very intelligent, okay? Because the sun cannot be the center. If the sun's supposed to be like the center of our universe, that means that we're not going to know the night, we're not going to know the day. Okay, that's what that means. That means that it's just going to be day every time. Okay.
Yes, I get you.
That's even trying to consider that the planet is like, round. Those who think the planet is flat or round and whatever, no matter what you think the planet is, once the sun is really like the center of the whole universe, and then we think all of the other celestial bodies go around the sun, that now gets us to question, how big the orbit of the earth can be. Because if the earth has to go around the sun, what would be the orbit of the sun at that moment? So that doesn't make sense. The biggest orbit that our ancestors were able to discover was the Sirius star orbit.
Wow.
And all of the other celestial bodies are within it. And even the sun is within the Sirius star, orbit. Not because that star is very, very far, that we have to be distracted and think maybe it's a small star. That star is 6 times dense, 6 times hotter, and 6 times bigger. Its orbit 6 times bigger than the sun itself.
Listeners, we're out in the universe with Naba, Iritah, Shemnira, sharing with us the wisdom of the Dogomba. Yes, Naba.
So then once they were able to understand that, they start following, after generation and generation and generation and generation, a calendar has to prove itself. For instance, since that time we haven't changed the calendar, and our calendar has not failed us. Like when we talk about the Mayan calendar, for instance, some tribe also will try to follow time, approach time with the most honesty they can. You can see that their calendar at some point, because they weren't able to maintain, their calendar finish. Once your calendar finish, you cease to exist, meaning the Babylonian system that was trying to erase all of the indigenous cultures now succeeded in erasing the Mayan culture by just, making sure they don't have a way of keeping time. Okay. Now, when we take the Gregorian calendar means what? The calendar of the Pope Gregoire.
Gregory, yeah.
Or Gregory.
Gregor
Okay.
or Gregory, something like that,
Yeah. Before the Gregorian calendar, there was a calendar called Julian calendar.
That's right.
The Julian calendar meaning the calendar of Julian, Pope Julian. For at the time where the Pope Gregory, wanted to change. Do you know that, New Year used to be like in the summer? Christmas used to be in the summer in in a Julian calendar, not in winter. Okay, if you check, it used to be in summer, not in winter, which is intelligent. I mean, you want to celebrate, the birth of your God. You want to celebrate, a cycle. You think your cycle starts and then it's finishing certain time. I mean, the best, time that cycle will really need to finish will be like a time where everybody can be out to enjoy it, celebrate it. Not in winter, where everybody has to be locked inside and all of that. So that calendar, the Julian calendar, was supposedly accused being lost in time or in space, meaning like our Earth was being lost in the space and was about 1,000 something years late. So we needed to catch the time, okay, catch up with the universe. Then the Pope Gregory said, okay, from now on, our new year, we start a year 0. And that year 0 starts today, from this time to this time. Now, when you look in the calendar, January, February, March, April, May, June, you will see that the calendar, the Gregorian calendar has the month of August. No, actually, let me go with September. When you talk about September, you talk about a number, 7. In French, that would be like sept. So September happened to be like, the 9th month. How can you call a 9th month, a month that's like in the 9th position in your calendar, September, like 7th month? October or August, that's like 8th. Okay. Now we have, if you take October, that's 10. When you take November, that's 9. October, that's 8. November, that's 9. But we have our October, as the 10th month of the calendar. And we have December, which is like the 12th month, but it's supposed to be like 10th because this will mean like a 10. November, 9, like, 9. So that's where you see like there's some inconsistencies in the calendar, in the Gregorian calendar, and you can see that's just based on some political laws and then some just imposition. It wasn't based on the fact that humans have to fit time and space. So right now, the whole modern society is living a life based on the illusion of one pope who just woke up one day and said, for my political, reign or from my authorities, from now on, the time change. And we need to start cutting our time from 0 at this point. And then that's how we find ourselves in 2019 today. 2019 of what? So before 2019, time did not exist of what or what?
When you first brought this to our attention, I always like to research, and I went and I looked back at the beginnings of all of this, and I was horrified and shocked to find that actually what they used to do was those who were in power, in how they treated time, was that if they were due to come out of power at a particular time, they would just say, okay, let's just add another week. This is in their history. I had no idea that this was how they approached time. If they didn't want to leave power, or if they wanted something to go on, they said, okay, we'll add another 2 weeks onto the time. And it was just simply at their whim.
You have even the week. When you talk about, adding the week, the concept of the week doesn't even make sense in nature. Because in nature, there's nothing that you will see that's 7. Even if you take a human being body, there's nothing that's 7. That's why when you look in the Gregorian, in the sidereal calendar that the Dogon use, you will see that our weeks are 10 days.
That's right.
We have 10 days week. When you look at my hands, I have 10 fingers. When you look at my feet, I have 10 toes. You know, so it's natural. It's easy to follow time that way. You know, so with 7 days, how can you follow time with 7 days? You know, so you can, and that's why at the end of the day, when whether you work in a corporate or you work on in the construction, in the field, or whatever you do, before even the week is finished, you see people are depressed.
At the start of the week, depressed, yes,
stress, and all of that, because they function on a business calendar. They function on like political calendar. They function on a calendar that's based on illusion only, but nothing real. So that's why we kind of when we saw that modern societies don't have time, we need to show them that time exists. And then, as I said, when you don't have time, you don't exist.
This is huge. Yeah. This is huge. That's why I hear you when you said, we could be here forever going through this.
We're not going to finish this.
We're not going to finish this.
So this is actually our 418th year, and our new year is always in September, between 10th of September, according to Gregorian calendar, or 11th of September, according to Gregorian calendar. So our we are now in 418th. 418th year, meaning 418th time 365 days. Okay, now even in this calendar, you get to know why the leap year exists, because our ancestors have the archives of all of that. They understood the leap year. They don't understood the leap year just based on illusion or based on someone waking up and then guessing. No, with all of the calculation and everything, you will understand why the leap year has to happen. And then we have also a time where, when we say that we like in 418 year, what we're trying to say is that it's been 418 years since the Sirius star came back to the original point, and that is starting again.
So it's 1,461 year cycle.
Cycle.
It's 418 years since the last
cycle.
Wow.
Okay. Now, when you notice that time, for 418 years ago, or almost 418 years ago, you will see that humanity has been shaken. So anytime, the Sirius star comes back to its original point of, cycle, what happens is that it will coincide that the sun, the moon, and the earth will be aligned, will be forced to align with the Sirius star, and they'll restart again. They have to be aligned. By the time the Sirius star comes back to be there, no matter where the sun is, or no matter where the moon is, or the earth is, they have to force themselves to align with Sirius star. And that alignment causes a lot of problems, a lot of natural disaster or galactic disasters and all of that but for us on the planet, it caused a lot of things on the planet. A lot of destruction, a lot of death, a lot of things will be erased, new chapters will start. And since then, that happened, that's when our culture, our people find themselves in slavery. And then when people ask, so when the system is going to fail, when the system is we're going to take our power back again, for us, we're waiting on the right time. Because the right time will be like when, now the forces of the universe are forcing everything to be in certain shape. Then we, get to be involved in it. And that's why we're starting our schools everywhere. We're starting our temples everywhere to get people ready. Like, we don't know it's going to be this generation. For all of the other generations to come after us, we're setting the pace, the foundation, so that even when that time happens, the change is going to, happen.
You're in tune to Wisdom of the Nile show. I'm Katasta Fakara, talking with Naba, Iritah, Shemnira. That was living knowledge. That didn't come from any university. That didn't come from any European book. That came straight out of the heritage and the culture of the Dogon people.
Actually, universities will not understand even, it's going to take them. They actually, a lot of people think that they call our countries or our communities undeveloped, like third world country.
Cheek of it.
And a lot of people didn't know why they even call us a third world country. They call us a third world country because we are not socialist and we are not, capitalist. We are a society. We are a communities that are part of a culture, that have like a principle. We live according to certain principles, and those principles are imposed by things that are higher than the human being, things that are more powerful than the human being. We don't control the sun. We don't control the earth. We don't control when, the sun needs to rise or when it needs to set. So our way of, approaching life and all of that, there's not yet a university that will understand that. And that's why they're still studying. That's why they're still, sending people to Africa to study us. And I just want to be honest and be here and then inform those universities to stop wasting money sending people to go study us. Send them to go learn from us. Send them to go sit and learn, live with us and learn. That's going to serve this society, your societies. Otherwise, you're just training like brains that are like, ice box. They're not going to be able to do anything. You send me in the bush with, a good, student in astronomy to study nature. He's not going to make it. Or she's not going to make it because it's in nature. And you don't have nature here to even study. So you can study nature in, 4 walls, in between 4 walls or in the glasses. You can study nature that way.
You're listening to Wisdom of the Nile show. We're going to take a short break and come right back with Naba, Iritah, Shemnira. Yes, the drums of the Vodon. You're listening to the Wisdom of the Nile show, and I'm Katasta Fakara here with Naba, Iritah, Shemnira, who's been sharing some profound knowledge that his people have held and continue to hold over thousands of years. Well, Naba, anywhere you are, we always have persons there, initiates and so forth with us. So we have some initiates with us in the studio with us here this evening who also have some questions that they are going to share with you. So our sister Kasati, you have a question for Naba?
Yes. Ujai Naba.
Ujai Kasati. How you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Yes. One of my questions was, we're seeing a lot of people getting woke nowadays, waking up and wanting to find out who they are. But what I've noticed, a lot of them are calling themselves gods and goddesses. What would you have to say about this? Can we be gods?
I mean, just to kind of laugh a little bit. When you look at the word, even like God, and then you have to read it like other way. How do you read it?
The other way. Mm-hmm.
The other way. How do you read it? Mm-hmm. Dog.
Say dog.
You read dog. Mm-hmm. And then in the modern society, who is more validated? What kind of being is more validated in the modern society? Dog. Dogs are even taking, places, taking power over everything, Yes, we live in a society where everything, the foundation of this society we live in, or this society where people call themselves God and goddesses, is actually the foundation coming from the ancient Rome. Okay, and in the ancient Rome, if you know their mythology, you'll understand that they claim that their savior or their father was a dog. Mm-hmm. Was a dog to kind of, save their fathers who funded everything for them. Okay, so you can really, once you don't know yourself, you're obliged to just adopt anything that kind of seem to make sense. But even start calling yourself a god or a goddess, check first and see in the etymology or the origin of the concept that you're trying to tag, on yourself. The god concept is a title. Okay, for us, that's how we look at it. As coming from the cultures that have proved themselves for thousands of years, we call it a title because at some point, those cultures that brought the concept of a god to mean like a higher being they were the cultures that did not have anything, and the pride, or in retaliation to the fact that you can call someone a pharaoh, that the whole humanity will bow to. Or you can call someone, a king, that all of the people in some place will bow to, or an emperor. We have those people. We have pharaohs in our culture. We have, kings. We have emperors in our culture. We don't have gods, human gods in our culture. We have the concept of divinized human. Okay, we have what we call the divinized human. And let me make it clear. There's a big difference between a human and a human being. Okay, there's a big difference. A human is someone who already work on themselves to even achieve some perfection when it comes to quality, moral quality, spiritual quality, intellectual quality. That's what we call like a human. But a human being, I'm a human being. I'm still trying to be. I'm still trying to become. That's how I'm a human being. As a matter of fact, on this planet right now, we don't have human anymore. The only thing we have like human beings. Everybody trying to, but mainly in this society, modern societies. Okay, where the quality of life doesn't matter anymore, just, the amount of evil you can commit to, fit the standard of the system, Now, a god, or for someone to call themselves a god, maybe they just trying to think, or they just trying to react to in a situation of retaliation. Because I know there's been a lot of syndrome, a lot of things that happen to certain people, mainly those people, because happen to be like black people who happen to be calling themselves that way. because I never hear Chinese call themselves that, or Japanese people call themselves that, or European. I don't hear them calling themselves that. But black people are the one, through the social media and everything I see, that I can assume, it's an assumption, are the one calling themselves, that, or pronoun that kind of, tag on themselves. Yes, the only thing we just have to do for the rest of the world to bow to us just like the way they've been bowing to our ancestors before, just like the way they bow to our temples, just like the way they bow to our kings before, is just adopt our ancestors' way of life. You cannot be willing to live a life of someone, but at the same time asking the person to call you a god. I mean, even myself, I feed you, I give you a name, I feed you, I even give you a name and you don't even ask me what's the meaning of your name mean. Okay? I mean, if there's any listener listen now, you can check your name. I don't think you know what your name means, and even what language your name is from. I feed you, I dress you, I clothe you. When it's cold, I'm the one making sure you have the heat. When it's hot, I'm the one making sure you have the AC in your room. I'm the one making sure you drive. You get to, circulate and all of that. And above all, you're speaking my language. And now, with all of that, you want me to call you, and you live on my land. You live in a society that I built. You live in the society that I built. On top of that, you want me to call you a god. You want me to respect you. Respect, you don't just stand and say, respect me. No one just go and then asking for respect like that. Respect comes from your integrity. Respect comes from you showing integrity, you showing dignity, you showing that there's something from you that another person can come and benefit from, or another person can look and say, I want that. That's the only way you can call yourself. You can ask someone to respect you. So we don't want to be calling ourselves God and goddesses, and then the rest of humanity is laughing at us as a people. But we are people of dignity for sure. We are people of integrity. We are people of, powers. We have all of that. We are so powerful. We are so powerful to the point where it's scary for even the modern societies or the rulers of the modern society to think that one day all of the descendants of Africa will be like, let's go home, just like the way Marcus Garvey said it. It's so scary. That's why I don't respect anyone, who's kind of pro black or pro African American thing or African descendant thing, and then you're still working hard to keep people in the land of slavery. You want to free people, take them out of the land of slavery, send them to where they can be free. That's the least you can do. So to be God and goddesses is just like a retaliation, but a retaliation to prove something. Not really because at the end of the day, what's important is at the end of the day, those people thinking they are gods and they are goddesses know what they do in their rooms. Gods don't do that. At the end of the day, when the sun goes down, everybody know what they do. You can lie to us. You can stand in front of me and say, I'm a god. And who am I to say you are not? I'm nothing, I'll be like, okay, what's your principle? What's your temple? Or what's your function as a god in my life right now? Now, where do you live? I mean, you get to kaka just like I kaka. You get to sweat. You get sick. And when you catch a cold, you suffer just like the way we suffer. You get fever. So we just have to stop kind of, I'm sure people would think that's like self-empowerment. Self-empowerment comes from knowledge. Self-empowerment comes from integrity. Self-empowerment comes from you, even though you don't know where you're going, at least you should know where you're coming from. and then go back there. No matter how long you've been walking the path, once you know that's wrong, it's not the right path, walk back and go take the right path. You know, we cannot be trying to just build bridges and then say that we are God, and God says no. I mean, everybody know what they do in their houses, in their rooms, in their beds when night comes. And you cannot claim that you're a God or goddesses with all of that you do. We just have to be honest with each other.
Did that answer your question, sir?
Yes, it does. It does.
Thank you.
Well,
yeah. I mean, not just to really kind of, discourage our people, but I'm saying all of this to encourage people to think they have some that they have to depend on. They have a lot.
And they also have to raise their qualities. They have to follow certain codes.
Principles. Custom, culture.
Mm-hmm.
European know how to respect black people. To be honest, I'm a black person, and I know when I'm being respected. Okay, I get to travel business class first time just because I was dressed in traditional, and then the flight attendant like it. So once you really stand on your dignity, because I'm not trying to copy a white man now. I'm not trying to be like a European. I'm not trying to stand at the same podium as someone who is from this, society. I'm trying to stand on my own stadium, on my own podium. Now, depending on how heavy, when we come face to face, two different podiums, two different principles, two different knowledge, two different cultures, two different people. We come together, and depending on how heavy your podium is, or the podium you're standing on it is, or how strong it is, that's how you get to be respected. You get to be respected for that. So, like Sister, Katasta, right now someone walks here, I'm wearing jean. A white person walks here, he's going to see me in jean. But she's going to gain the respect because this is something they don't know. They don't even know how to farm the cotton. Cotton doesn't grow in England, right? No. Exactly. It grows in our places where they call undeveloped. Yeah. So.
Okay. Wow. You spoke about the podium, and it just reminded me of the philosophy podium. Yep. A book written by Naba Lamusa Morandenebeg. And I also want to say as well that we have within the Earth Center a Firefly production, which all the Earth, because what we said at the beginning was that non-governmental, cultural and spiritual organization. So everything that the Earth Center produces comes from their own coffers. There's no link to any other outside organization. It's done by themselves. And Naba Lamusa Morandenebeg put together this book called The Philosophy Podium, and it's the perspective, the Dogon perspective. It was the first time really that when we talk about the Dogomba people, it wasn't a European writing about them, but someone from the culture writing about themselves.
Someone who didn't study them.
Who lived the culture.
Who is born in it, who has the blood. And this book is, if I was, a president of a country, I will make sure this book doesn't enter my country.
Shh, don't tell them.
I'm not going to tell them. I don't think they listen to us, Yeah, but this is like almost like an atomic bomb of knowledge. When we talk about encyclopedias and we talk about books of history and knowledge and all of that, you understand this, you read this, and then you understand what's being said in there. You're going to start looking for the real history of humanity. You're going to start looking like, where is all of this? I mean, why this is not in the libraries? Why this is not on the internet? Why this is not, these information are not in the universities, because these things are like whatever I said in that book is very strong and coming from it's raw.
So when you were talking about the podium and being able to, between the two cultures, when you have something like this, you're standing on the right
Exactly.
side. You're in tune to the Wisdom of the Nile show. We're talking with Naba Iritah Shemnira. Have another question for you, Naba, from the internet. It says, is Kemet, in brackets, African spirituality for all races, and does spirituality have a color?
Actually, I would say to that question, with honestly, okay, being a human being, who I am, if you had to ask me to make African, spirituality or Kemetic spirituality for everybody today, I would say no. Because in my place we say, if someone rides a horse to kill your father, when you hear the sounds of the horse, the step of the horse coming, you don't even want to look at it. You want to run away. That's all you can do, or hide. But that would be a disgrace. That would be a disgrace to the memory of my father at that moment if I run and hide. Because somehow, I don't think my father, will expect me to see his enemy and run away from him. My father will want me
stand up and fight.
And prove that enemy that, you can, conquer one generation and think you can conquer that, even the younger generation. Because at the time you were trying to conquer one generation, the younger generation, we are not dumb. We are sitting and watching you and learning. And through that learning, we at the same time making sure to know your weaknesses. And then when we find those weaknesses, we're going to wait the time. Maybe right now we don't have the muscles or the power to fight you. But what you forget is like we're grown to become strong people, and you're grown to become an older person. You're losing energy, we're gaining energy. And there's going to be a time where we're going to fight you. And this is the time. You have a proper, original, authentic knowledge that you think your ancestors preserve, and it hasn't been tamed, it hasn't been touched by any seed of evil or corruption or colonization. And this is how you need to bring it out. And then let everybody have it. How did the system was able to colonize and conquer our people? Just through, education, through religion, through all of that. Now, if, Trump says that he doesn't like me, but I'm able to get Trump to like my book, Philosophy Podium, he's liking me, whether he wants it or not. And he's respecting me. He's going to learn to respect me for that. Okay? And we're just saying this to make sure that people understand that spirituality does not have color. There's no spirit that has a color. Colors exist only in material manifestation. Even nature, color exists only in material manifestation. Color does not exist in a spiritual manifestation. When the gods decide to bless a people, they're just going to bless them. When the divine worlds or the spirit decide to do some, they're not going to look at your color before they do it. Probably they're going to look at how evil you are or how good you are before they do what they have to do to you. Or how clean you are in your heart before they do what they have to do. To ask like if spirituality has color is to ask me if every human being has red blood or white blood or black blood or yellow blood or green blood in the body. If you're able to answer that question, then you'll be able to allocate one spirituality to one people. I mean, we're talking about spirituality. I'm not talking about religion.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between religion and spirituality.
Could you make that distinction for those who don't really understand that?
Religion is a belief. And you can choose to believe in whatever you want to believe. Just like how our brothers and sisters think they are God and goddesses. That can be religion, you know. You can decide to believe in whatever you want to believe. No one will force you, okay? But spirituality is a systematic, very rigid way of life that is accepted by, actually the planet we live on, and then the rest of the celestial bodies. It's a way of, just like the way we see a flower will kind of blossom, that's the same way that spirituality is for human beings. Because we have a way, the gods make sure to give us two aspects of us. Okay? One aspect that's non-material and one aspect that's material. Okay? Religion doesn't function based on that. Religion functions based on your heart, what makes you feel good. Okay? Spirituality functions on what you need to do. You know what makes you feel good, but actually what must be done. And in spirituality, it's a must. Things you don't do. Discipline. And then in religion, you can go do things that you're not supposed to do and come back and ask for forgiveness. And then another human being will tell you, I just talked to the God and God said you are forgiven. But spirituality, it doesn't work like that. You break, you violate, Mother Earth, nature, universe will strike right away. Once you vow that you want to be a spiritual person, you vow to stand on certain things. You break them, Mother Earth will react, or Mother Nature will react, or the rest of the celestial body will react on you. Now, even if they don't react on you right away, your children will receive it. If your children don't receive it, your grandchildren will receive it. And then there will be somewhere question why this is happening to me. Nowadays, we have a lot of people who have like mental disorder, some disorders in their children's life, and they happen to forget that they did wrong. Their grandfathers or forefathers do wrong to other people. Like the people who are like autistic and things like that. All of those are like prices that you pay. Your great-grandfather or great-grandmother did something wrong, you're going to pay. You happen to be the one to come back and you can pay. You're going to pay for that, those things. So, yes, we can really allocate certain spirituality because spirituality means we all trying to go back to the unique thing. Okay, like we all on earth now are like, we feel like we are diverse, but only one thing is common to all of us. That spiritual connection that we have. Now, religion is different. Religion is that we all can have different religion. But at the end of the day, we still have to go to the same, spiritual thing that link all of us. Now, to really, if someone is out there who feel like they can have a proof, I'm not talking about emotional proof or, emotional proof to prove like, yes, certain spirituality shouldn't be for certain people, then you're going to have to prove, that those people don't have a heart that's red or that pump like the red blood out of it. Once you're able to prove that, then we can start talking about now which color own which spirituality, which color doesn't own it.
079-444-31366 if you would like to call in to ask Naba your own question. That's 079-444-31366. You're in tune to the Wisdom of the Nile show, and we're here talking with Naba Iritah, Shemnira, Dogon priest. We have another question from you, and I believe Kasati, you have that question.
Yes, Naba. People have noticed Bible story of Mary and Jesus, and notice a strong correlation with the story of Wasa, Heru, and Haishat, which is a story that's over 5,000 years old. Could you explain this, please?
It would be ignorant to really compare those two stories, because one is really a story that's like man-made, and one is like something that happened. Okay, one story is a man-made. Okay, and then the other story is like it happened. Okay, to the point where no one needed to write about it. When we talk about the what we call the holy drama is actually the cosmogony. It's part of the cosmogony, meaning the architecture of how the first humans perceived existence to be. And within that, I think I said that last week here, within that there was a way of us being able to retrace who we are, meaning giving us a template of how we should be living our lives. And which template is that life comes from a man and a woman, or a male and a female. Okay? And anything that follows life, or that is like follow the cycle of life, is something that follows, a principle that we call the Wuzirian principle. Wuzirian principle means the principle of a wizard. Wuzir is the god that the Neter, or the god that the Greeks and the Romans call Osiris, or Osiris, Asar. Asar or Osiris. We call him Wuzir in our original language. So when you follow the principle of Wuzir, he made the sacrifice to die and reincarnate through his descendants. That is his way of living his eternity, by dying and then reincarnating. And him by dying gives us the opportunity to become, to be born. So following that story, or following that template of approaching existence, approaching life, the only thing we get to do is always kind of stand on those principles of Wuzir, or those principles of Aishat, which, when you look at Wuzir is almost like a masculine energy, and comes with the principles of regeneration, the principle of reproduction, the principle of things kind of increasing, like becoming more and more, like growing, okay, and becoming. And when you look at the principles of Aishat, the one that they call Isis, she is the feminine, principle. And that feminine principle is a principle of kind of preserving, okay, like preserving, and at the same time kind of healing, and then making sure protecting, if I may say that. Okay, now the two principles are the principle that we find in the one that we call Heru. Heru is the one that they call Horus. Okay, so Horus or Heru is the not the addition, but almost like the becoming of the two principles. So making Heru be more like a principle that is a very vulnerable, but at the same time very how do you call, like a warrior, you know, warrior thing. Like he's more like a warrior, but at the same time he's a vulnerable. He's a strong, you know, but at the same time vulnerable. Okay, so which means he has both principles within him. Now he has to be able to find, you know, to maintain himself by being able to respect those two principles, or identify and acknowledge those two principles within him. All right, so which is really what we do in our tradition, like making sure you respect your father. Sorry, you respect your mother. Making sure you don't disrespect them. Make sure you honor them, which makes those two people your first gods, your very first divinities or gods on earth. By doing that, because they're the one who are like you are like the becoming of the two people. All right. So the system find that interesting, and now making sure like to break, you know, families, and then breaking families that create like a instability in the children. Okay, in the child, that's what it's going to create. Okay, and then the child will end up losing either the feminine or losing either the masculine. Now, one principle that will be, you know, that will be like predominant in that child will lead that child to become like evil, to be more attractive to evil, to be more attractive to things that are not favorable for life. Just like, you know, if it's a feminine, that's a predominant, that child will be attracted more to, like, you know, destruction or, you know, against life. Same like if it's masculine. Now, that's a little bit I can say about Aishat and Heru. Well, let's go to Mary and Jesus. Mary and Jesus, there's one thing that's missing.
The male part.
The male part is missing.
Oh dear.
Does that make sense? Like when you ask me about, you know, Isis and Horus, yes, you know, I have to bring like the male parts to show you why, you know, that exists. No, we can compare those two things, okay? Because this one, there's one thing that's missing. And that thing that's missing is that male aspect. That masculine aspect of thing is missing. Okay? Don't be surprised nowadays when we have like, you know, people thinking like they don't want like other sexes. They want like same-sex relationship. Don't be surprised. Okay? Like homosexuality and all of that. Don't be surprised, because that's what the Bible is really promoting. That's what if people can go claiming that no, the Bible is against that and Christianity is against it. No, it's not. Like at the origins of it, that's what it is. That you promoting, you know, like a child that's educated, male child that is educated by a female without even the presence of the father around. And now suddenly you tell that female that female father is someone, God, that impregnated you. You don't want me to really tell the story of how Jesus came to be, because I'm not going to walk out here. They're going to kill me somewhere in the street if you want me to tell that story. Okay. But this is the thing.
We'll have to get you to tell us that in private, because we don't want them to do that to you, but we want you to tell.
Exactly. You know, the point is like when you have like, that's why we even talk about Trinity. You know, when we talk about Trinity, we're talking about the presence of three different energies, the presence of three different, you know, three different powers, three different gods, three different divinities. That's what we call Trinity. Okay? Now, like in this situation, we can talk about in the situation of Wazir, Heru, and Aishat, we can talk about Trinity. Like that's like Osiris, Isis, and Horus. We can talk about Trinity there. But when we go to, you know, Mary and Jesus, we cannot talk about Trinity. There's no Trinity there, because the one that we call Jesus is actually the manifestation of something. But what we all know as human, like our intelligence will know is that Mary got to be impregnated by someone.
It would be logical, right?
Mary got to be impregnated by someone.
You know, again, through looking back at the invasions in Kemet and the origins of where the Christian Mary and so forth, and prior to that it's the Romans, and then the Greeks who went and studied in Kemet and had their own versions. And I was looking recently, I think the god was named Dionysus, who is the one who equates themselves to Wusa, right?
Yeah.
I was again horrified. It's only when you really go in and look, it beggars belief that there's an order within that who followed Dionysus, and the god, and I can't remember if it was Zeus, who it was, raped the mother to get Dionysus, and then but there is an order where then when I think it was I can't remember if it was Dionysus, but the point is the god then had so raped the mother and then had intercourse with, I think, the son, and then they went with another woman and then brought another child, and I was like, hold on a minute, is this their gods? It was very, very this is the beginning of their deities.
No, that's actually the beginning of the civilization that we live today in modern society.
Exactly. This is because you can see where it comes to.
Yeah, that's the root of the civilization we live in today. And yes, Jesus, you know, I don't want to say that here, but if
we don't want anything to happen to you, so we don't if you don't
what I'm trying to say is like, you know, if my daughter comes to me and say, Dad, I'm pregnant, but I don't know who impregnated me, I just woke up and I found myself pregnant. I mean, that child, I'm going to tell my daughter, I don't want to have a bastard child in my family. I don't want to have a bastard child in my descendants. Because it doesn't make sense. Like, the Bible, those who wrote the Bible needs to rewrite it a little bit. I think that's why they start burning like the churches, you know, like next door to England when that church start burning. They really have to... You mean
the Notre Dame?
Yeah. They need to rewrite the history.
They want to come back again.
Yeah, they need to rewrite it because it doesn't make sense. Because people are becoming intelligent. You're the one creating internet. You're the one creating things. You're the one making sure people have access to certain things. And people question.
And did you see the images? I don't know if anybody had a real look at the images that are on Notre Dame and what the demons are doing to the humans.
Yeah.
And this was their church. So, you're listening to Wisdom of the Nile show. Naba, Iritah, Shemnira. Let's give Naba just a few moments break before we come back on the other side. drums of the Vodon. Okay, we have some more questions. Questions firing all over the place. Okay, so we have a question from the YouTube, and it says, this is from Zamal Nuwap. Apologies if I've pronounced the name incorrectly. Is there any truth to the Christ story being based off of the Kemetic mummification process as explained by Gerald Massey? Don't know who Gerald Massey is, but so the question is there any truth to the Christ story being based off the Kemetic mummification process as explained by Gerald Massey or Macy?
That's a really a difficult, how do you call it, question to answer, because honestly, I don't know how Gerald Massey or Macy explain it, and secondly, I don't know who the Christ is. So that would be like a very difficult question to answer, because I have to be able to know who the Christ is, and then who the Gerald Massey, what Gerald Massey said about that. But I know about Kemetic, mummification. I know about all of that, but I don't know about Christ, and I don't know about Gerald Massey. That's the honesty, really.
Okay, so Zamal, maybe you could enlighten us. Okay, we have another question on the YouTube, and it says, does the Rastafarian religion have any connection or validity in conjunction to spirituality? Naba.
That's a big question, because I'm right now around a lot of Rastafarian. I'm in the middle of Rastafarian, If it has to be really answered, it just has to be answered,
Of course.
Is the sun moving in the sky? Probably yes, probably no. But let me say this, Katasta. Mm-hmm. What we call Rastafarianism is not a religion. Anything that comes in ism is not a religion. Okay? It's a movement. Mm-hmm. Okay? Christianism is not a religion. It's a movement. Christianism was a movement. Now probably Zamal Nuwapu, I think that's like the Nuwapu people. He might be from the Nuwapu people. Mm. Zamal Nuwapu should understand that, Christianity was a...
I think this one was from A. Miesh or something like
that.
No, the previous
this
one.
Is getting me to, at the same time, comment on the previous one.
Okay.
Christianity was a movement that, was introduced to be anti-spirituality movement. Mm. It's an anti-spirituality movement. It's a religion of anti-spirituality. Okay, and that movement was introduced by Rome, by the Romans, when Jesus, probably that's one Zamal called, Christ, when Jesus came back after the time he spent in Kemet, being initiated in the Kemetic temples.
Could you say that again, please?
I said that before. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to repeat it. Mm-hmm. Okay. In the Bible, when you look in the Bible, you will see that they tell you about Jesus when he was about to be born, or when his mom was raped by God, and then when he was about to be born, and then when he's going to be born, and when he was born. And they tell you about him until he's 7 or 10 or 12 actually. Yes. 12 age. And after that, the Bible doesn't disappear. The Bible doesn't talk about him anymore. Mm-hmm.
And the Bible 30,
right. The Bible will start talking about him when he's 30 or 33 or 30. Mm-hmm. And no one really, those who read the Bible don't even get to question that. Any pastor or any preacher who feel like it can even comment on this and then tell us where Jesus was between his age 12 to age 30. Where was he? Because they need to question the Bible about that. They need to question Rome. Where are the other relics talking about Jesus from the age 12 to 30?
That's a big chunk of somebody's life to be missing,
To just
especially
missing.
the Son of God.
Yeah,
That's a
to be
big
missing.
chunk.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, even myself, if I was Jesus, I'm gonna come back just for that to say, like, you need to put.
You missed that part in my story.
In my life, you missed that part, and you need to put that back in there. So this is the thing. Rastafarianism started as a movement. Okay. A lot of people will not like what's gonna come out of my mouth, but that's a sad reality. Okay. It started as a movement against anything that's coming from the European. Anything that's like about European, we don't want. That's the original Rastafarianism. It wasn't about weeds, for sure. And it wasn't about Haile Selassie either. Haile Selassie is new into that movement. He just came to be in that movement. It was a movement, actually. And that movement was like, we against anything that the white man did. And we don't want anything from him. That's the way we're going to prove him that we have dignity and we have integrity. We will depend on ourselves. And Mother Nature, Mother Earth will, feed us. That's going to be our roots from the beginning to the end. We don't need no bank. We don't need no whiskey coming from you. We don't need none of anything coming from you. We're going to make our own clothes. We're going to build our own houses. We're not going to take anything from you. Sure, they did it. For a long time, those people fought. And they were good fighters, those people. You check the history before Haile Selassie and before the annexion of Ethiopia by, Italy or by English. People say that, Ethiopia was not colonized. Ethiopia is like the colony of England, of Great Britain. But what people don't know, that when you look at Haile Selassie, what does he look like? He look like someone who is coming from a father or a mother that might be like black, and then probably the other parent being white. That's what you see. Let's hide. Just let's be honest and then look at the facts. He is someone who is a mixed child. Okay? Now, once we're able to really face that reality that Haile Selassie is something like that, then let's try to find out, is it his father or his mother who's a European? Now, if you're able to find out who that is, don't be surprised that that one is a cousin to the Queen Elizabeth II, the Crown of England. Haile Selassie came in the picture just as a distraction to the movement, to the Rastafarian movement. It's in the book of history. Book of Humanities, you'll find it in there. Now, once you find it, think about it, keep searching, and you'll find the solution. And you'll find the answers. And that's the reality. I've seen a lot of pictures on the Facebook where people say that Haile Selassie, the Queen Elizabeth was bowing to Haile Selassie. Yes, that's an older cousin. My cousins who are younger than me sees me, they have to bow to me. So that's whatever royalty that was established in Ethiopia at some point, like in Addis Ababa, at some point, is a replica of the crown of England that was in Ethiopia.
Okay.
So that was the distraction. Now, what's the question? Is it really a
Spiritually,
spiritual
is it?
belief? I'm
So
saying,
let me just check the question again. So they ask. Oh, actually, no, it's on
yeah, I
the
tried to prove
YouTube.
that it's not a religion, because the question was talking if it's a Rastafarian religion. It's not a religion. That's what I was proving. Now, does it have any spiritual connection?
Yes.
Yes. We're talking about original Rastafarism before Haile Selassie. Yes, Rastafarians were very deeply rooted, connected human being to nature. They were so connected to nature. They don't take paracetamol. They don't take Tylenol, whatever medicine you call it. They don't take any of that, and they live long because they maintain themselves, preserve themselves. We know. I mean, once I know once I know the person who's choosing to kill me, I'm not gonna make sure not to even take anything from him. I'm gonna make sure to always make sure we don't cross. We don't come. We don't get to cross path. And those people were really, really. And this story that I'm saying, it's not like I'm just saying it out of a guess. My father was a very powerful Rastafarian. He walked for a long time, and then he fought. And he fought for a long time. And he fought among people.
Clear, this is Naba Lamusa, modern Denibeg. There was an association with Rastafari, so you're coming from that perspective. Thank you.
Yes, that's Master Naba. He was that. And he did fight on their side with great people. I met some of them. Last one that I met was in Ghana. And he died when he was 109, I think. And that kind of Rasta that I met, never met a Rasta like that. Even the nails, he doesn't cut his nails. The nails are like,
claws. That's
and then
original Rastaman don't use scissors or comb.
Exactly.
They just keep it.
Exactly. Yeah. So he was all roots. All real roots. Okay. So yes, they were the Rastafarism before Brother Selassie. Rastafarism was a very deep, connected spiritual movement. It wasn't about weeds.
No.
It wasn't about, anything like that.
And I'm obliged, I have to say, and I know you spoke about the Rastafari originally, but also Rastafari were those who refused, as we say, to bow to Babylon. But not only did they not want to wear Babylon clothes and work for Babylon and so forth, even if it meant their own family, and many times it meant even their mothers and fathers would turn against them so that they could continually relate back to Africa at a time when the world saw Africa as, and Africans as some whatever they wanted to call African. Rastafari children were continuing because that integrity, they knew who they were and where they were coming from. With regards to the throne, which is the one that Haile Selassie sits on, again, I understand that through Rastafari, with Marcus Garvey pointing the way back to Africa, and this was the whole movement back home, and you mentioned Marcus Garvey before, it was about identifying with a line. So I know you said about the cousin and the king and queen. I don't know about that. I would have to look in that usury. But the throne, which was established in Africa, and we know even in Kemet, when we had, up to a point when we had black pharaohs ruling, there was a time when the Greeks came in, the Persians and the Romans, and sat on the seat. But the throne was the foundation of a black culture. So, and I know you may say I'm paralleling the two, but I'm just saying that they look to the throne. So they recognize Menelik the first, who was before Haile Selassie, and that throne, that lineage that goes back to, I think they call it King Ori. So there's a history that is associated with that throne.
Yes.
So that's kind of
trying to relate everything. When we talk about Selassie, Menelik the first, Menelik the second, and all of those that kind of ruled in Ethiopia at that moment, we're really trying to talk about Samson, Okay, the one that in the Bible they call Samson.
Samson.
Yeah, we just trying to go back to him. Okay. Now, if the Rastafarian, wants to prove me that they are worshiping Selassie, or they are bound to Selassie, or looking at Selassie as something, at the throne as something, because of Samson, maybe them being like the descendants of Samson, I would be like, that's fair enough. Okay, because you have to know history. You can't just jump in something. You have to know what history is about. Look,
and we're learning, which is good.
The throne that Gavi, may he rest in peace. Gavi is pointing at his people at that moment. Wasn't the throne in Ethiopia? Because Ethiopia is like even like far in in the far east, but there were throne down there in those areas, down the Nile Valley and all of that. They're still throne, even though after invasion and everything's gone. Now after the pharaohship is finished, now there was a kingships that was ruling. Nowadays Africa is being ruled by kingship or emperors. We went to the period of pharaohship. After pharaohship, we went to the period of emperors. After emperor, we went to the period of kingship. That's the history that we went through. Now, was he pointing? I don't know if he said in his own words, like the throne in Ethiopia. But if he said, "Let's go home to where the real king is, or the real kingship is," that you can just assume that to be like Haile Selassie. To be like, or the throne that Menelik II was sitting on, to be like that. Okay. Now, there's a history when you read the archives. Nowadays, you don't find those kind of informations in the libraries or in on internet. Okay, because they wipe all of that. But when you read like the real history of humanity and what happened around that area. Do you know that nowadays there's a lot of Ethiopians who think that they are more like Israel, from Israel, than even like from Africa? Do you got now?
Falashas, I think.
Yeah, they think like they are more like Israelite, more than like they like Israelite than African and things like that. According to the archives and the history that our ancestors told us, there's a lot of betrayal that happened around that time. A lot of betrayal that happened around that area, around that time, because that's the area where Moses was able to use to cross with his people. When we say that it took Moses 40 years and his people to cross, the Jews to cross
the Red Sea
and all of that. No, because they have to establish places. When they left Egypt, they have to be established. I mean, with that kind of people that you're traveling with, you have to set up camps or set up villages established before you continue. Okay? And then, they use that. And then that people, the contract, somehow, I cannot prove it, but the contract that was there is like, you help us escape, we're going to go to our promised land, and then we all will share whatever is there for all of us. But nowadays, the Jewish don't want Ethiopian there. They don't want them on that land. There's a lot of history that we don't want to get into, because that can get some people to disappear on the face of planet.
But again, to hear the knowledge coming from Kemet, coming from the other side, and again, going back to Marcus Garvey, it wasn't just about one place, because yes, Rastafari did look to Ethiopia, but I mean, Marcus Garvey himself was going to Liberia, and I mean, and then we know that Rastafarians and other conscious people have spread across the whole continent. So we give that, for me, I give thanks that we are reconnecting to our roots, because there's still so much we need to learn.
I'm sad. I'm disappointed that a lot of people, especially the people from the West Indies, that's how we say, right? The West Indies people,
Caribbean
people betray Marcus Garvey. Even American
Some of them did,
Black
yes.
Panther,
That's
Black
right.
Panther, and all of that. You know,
The
all of
Dubois and all
Dubois.
the
Everybody betray. Everybody betray Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey vision, because it doesn't just take you for you to be holding the red black RBG, red black and green flag in your house or on you to say that you are a Garveyan. It takes you to adopt his principles. It takes you to follow his vision. When you follow his vision and you get to the end of his vision, now see where you can take that vision
further
to. You know, and a lot of people feel that, and then every now and then people come out in the streets holding like black flag, red, black, and green flag as of, a pride. No, you don't just gain pride that way. You gain pride standing on something stronger than, what is the...
It's how you live.
Yeah.
You're in tune to the Wisdom of the Nile show. We're giving Naba some tough questions and he's answering 079-444-31366 if you want to get interactive. We have our brother Nahipsa. Nahipsa is one of those who holds the radio station here as well. He comes on and he will host the show, and he's done so for, held it, especially when we're in the country, he's held it. So we give thanks for, coming in and holding the show. When everybody else fell away, you stood strong, and we acknowledge that. So we give thanks to our brother Nahipsa, who's in the studio. And I believe you have a question for Naba.
Yeah, Ujjayi everyone, Ujjayi Naba. Yeah, my question is, I know there's a lot of people out there who are struggling to find the right path, really right, for their spiritual development. And I know that Hisi is here, and I don't know what words of encouragement and guidance that you could give them really to put them on the right path.
That's it. One thing is to struggle to find your path, and one thing is to know your path and then not have the will to take it. Why? Because it's damn difficult.
Yes, to go with that.
It's damn difficult. It's damn challenging, and then it's a path that does not care about your comfort, a path that does not care about what you want, but a path that cares more about what you must, what you need to. Okay? And for those people out there, I would say the last place they will search will be the last place they will find it. That's all I can say to them. Because with the way our world is moving now, people tend to redefine things. People tend to redefine a lot of concepts. People tend to even try to redefine themselves. I can't really redefine myself without really understand who my father is and who my mother is. First of all, I will define myself because I know my father, I know my mother, or because I know where they come from, who they are. Now trying to redefine myself, that will be easy for me to do that because I know at least where I'm coming from, I know where I should be going. To say that a lot of people are struggling to reconnect is to say that they just don't want to reconnect. This is honesty, I just talk honesty, I just talk what's there, the fact. The fact is that they just don't want to reconnect, or they just want to reconnect on their own way, and that's not really how it functions. Because your own way has not been working for sure. That's why you are looking now. And if your own way has not been working and then you are looking for some now, know that you cannot be looking for something and then expect that thing to be function on your own way, to be function on the way you want it to function. It's just going to function the way it functions. You can say that, you want to go to Coventry and then take a train that will take you to, I don't know, Paris. A train that goes Paris will just go to Paris. Now, a train that goes to New York will go to New York. You can say like I'm going to New York and then take the train or a boat that goes to New York. It's not going to work like that. So that's the situation in which most of those people find themselves. They know they need to go to New York, but somehow they manage to get on the boat that goes to China. It's going to take you long. Even if you do get to New York, you're going to have to go all around the world before you end up in New York. It's going to take you a long time. And I don't know how long you're going to be on Earth to be able to accomplish that. Now, we all know that, why do I say that there's like dishonesty in that? We all know that somehow, whatever we have in our hands today started somewhere else. It came from somewhere else. When I want to talk about Jesus, one thing I would think about is Jerusalem. I mean, that's like, connection.
Yeah.
Jesus, the only thing that will come, land. Jesus, land. Anything that will come to me is like Jerusalem or Israel or Vatican. That's the most I can go. If I want to talk about Mahomet or Allah, one thing that will come to my mind is like Saudi Arabia, Mecca.
Yeah.
Okay? And when I want to talk about spirituality, only one thing will come to my mind. Where people are spiritual. Because these places are religion. They're not spiritual. Now, or I want to talk about tradition. Only one place I'm going to look at. So you cannot be saying that you want to talk about the Dogon and then you're going to go looking for them in, how do you call it? The Northern Pole.
The North Pole.
The North Pole.
You're not going to find them there.
No, it's damn cold. It's too cold.
Too cold.
It's too cold. We can't be there, So that's really like the situation we're in. And that's why the Earth Center is a mission that is carrying within itself all of the ingredients that a human being needs. Not just a human being in the West, even a human being in Africa itself needs to be able to reconnect themselves to the original ways of doing things. Because this mission is in the West and doing the work that it's doing, and with all of the disciples who dedicated themselves, saying they want to stand for what their master started and continue what he started and take it as far as they can. Those students are sacrificing time, or those initiates sacrificing time and life and work and dedicating themselves doing that. Not because it's like easy, not because there's a pleasure in it, but it's because we are like a time of revolution. We are in the time where things need to revolve. We are in the time where things need to change. And then the change is always going to take one person to cook for the whole family to eat. And those people who are trying to cook are finding themselves in the kitchen, which is the Earth Center, trying to cook. Those people are cooking so that a lot of people one day will say thank you for at least preserving this and then making sure it's perpetuated, We have a lot of students initiate who stop by at some point in the Earth Center. Some of them made it all the way to the first level at some point in the Earth Center. And got initiated, got this knowledge that we're sharing today. And somehow they felt like it was too damn difficult. They can't take it anymore. And they have to drop. You can't envy them for that. And they will find any kind of reason to stop And that's really what it is. Okay, and it's like a war. In a war, when the bullet gets your whoever is next to you that you're running with, when the bullet gets the person, you just have to carry the fight. You don't stop because someone is down. You just have to carry the fight. Because if you keep standing at the same place, that bullet will get you too. You just don't stand at the same place.
Keep moving.
You just have to keep moving. So a lot of people wants to move, but they want to move in the mind only. They want to move or in the heart, meaning their approach to evolution or their approach to reconnection to the original ways of life or to universal laws and nature and all of that is only within their heart and within their mind. But the actions are shown different. They're not taking the action that's needed to really do that. And I was saying it last week, this is the only organization of its kind that you'll find right now on the face of this planet that is really coming from the temples of Africa, where it's carrying a mission of coming to change something in people's life. Most of the time, you see the reverse, situation where things leave the modern societies, countries to go to Africa to change us. This is the first time you see something that leaves Africa to come. Reverse. And that's why, whether you respect our master, Prophet Naba or not, this is the time you have to show him some respect. Because it takes someone to have the heart of a lion to do that. A heart of a lion to cross rivers and mountains and sea, saying, now I'm going to fight.
We said to come into the belly of the beast.
The belly of the beast, to scatter the belly, for everybody to see what is within that belly. A lot of people do this work, or a lot of people trying to walk this path, expecting the path to be suitable. It's a path. Okay, it's a path. And the path is just going to be a path. It's going to take you to where it's going. And the challenge you're going to meet on it, those challenges are meant to be there. And then if you don't want it, and then you think you can change the path that has been there for thousands of years, that's too much of arrogance.
I had no idea it was going to be like this when I joined up.
Exactly. We all will have to testify that way. We all who started this, we said, wow, it's a lot of knowledge to learn, a lot of things to do, yeah. And then somehow you get to the point where okay, now you're going to have to take, your machetes and then start clearing the path yourself. The path, your teacher or your master will clear the path all the way to a certain level. And he will drop the machetes there and then be like, okay, now you come and pick up the machete and then continue clearing. And that's what you guys doing. For me, I feel so proud. And then the people that I've been working with on this path, we happen to be young people. We didn't know what we were getting into either. And just carry on learning, carry on following our master's will and what he want, to see happening. And we have England school. We have not the temples in England. We have the temple in Canada, So, we continue the path. We continue clearing. Now it's going to be like on the initiate or the initiates. No any initiates. Those who have the heart of the lion. Those who have the power, that spirit to carry, the thing. Those are the ones to continue. And not everybody is accepted in paradise. We all know that. Okay. In paradise, it's not everybody who accepts it. If you haven't been in the paradise, don't expect to go to that. This time you're going to go. Okay. So you have to be someone who has been in the paradise to know the value of the paradise or heaven,
To want to get back there.
To want to get back there. If you haven't been in a heaven, don't expect You're not gonna know what it takes. You know what it takes to go into heaven.
Wow. We are in tune. Because I'm tuning in as well, although I'm sitting right here, I'm tuning in. The Wisdom of the Nile show. We're coming close to the end now, but if you want to hear Naba speak, he will be at a few venues here in the UK. One is this very weekend. So the Earth Centre UK presents Hidden Dogon Wisdom Revealed lecture series and orientation. So a couple have already gone in Coventry, and he spoke about the schools here in the UK. We have one in London where I'll be reading out information for a lecture next week, but this is the one in Coventry. We did have a school in Birmingham. We now have a school in Coventry. Naba will be doing a lecture on this Saturday, the 8th of June, 2019. It's on the fundamental principles of the universe. Oh my gosh, let me say that again. The fundamental principles of the universe. That's this Saturday, the 6th of June, 6 till 9 p.m. And that's at the Leicester African Caribbean Community Centre, Maidstone Road, Leicester, LE2 OUA. There will also be a further lecture in Coventry for called Spiritual Evolution, and that's on Sunday, the 6th of June, 4 till 7 p.m. That's at the Earth Centre Coventry, which is 18 Biggin Hall Crescent, Coventry CV31GS. So if you want to know where the school is in Coventry, that's the school. And then there's an orientation on Saturday, the 22nd of June, 4 till 7 p.m. And that's the Earth Centre Coventry, 18 Biggin Hall Crescent, Coventry CV31GS. And when we speak about orientation, many people may not know what that is. So these series of lectures are culminating in an orientation in Coventry for the school. Could you just give us a synopsis of what that really is so that people can understand what that is?
Yeah, I mean, when we even talk about school, that's just for the lack of word or concept. Technically, it's like a temples. Anything we establishing around, it's like temples. And then the schools, originally the schools are were like temples. Okay, and then that's why we talk about the mysteries of
mystery schools.
The mystery
Thebes,
schools,
Memphis,
Heptaka, and all of that. So that's really like what we call like mystery schools. So our schools are like really like a mystery schools. Those who are keen, trying to learn about what, why, who, how, and things like that, about existence, about life, like originally how things were before we get to this place where we don't even know how to treat cancer. We don't even know how to treat like problems in our health. We don't even know how to maintain our spirits and then be able to, evolve and then reach the higher, dimensions and reach like other realities and non-material realities and all of that. Also the culture, the language, the original way of original language, original way of expression of human, of universe and all of that. So history, like everything we're sharing now on this, this show, like those kind of things are what you get to you come to learn. Now we have to organize like a series of lectures in a preparation of, of people who are willing to really start a journey. And now when we talk about orientation is like the day that we open, the temple's door to accept people who wants to take the journey. And the journey will take them about 1 year and a half to finish the first level of their journey before continue, if they want to continue the second level.
And what's the first level called?
The first level is called Per Ankh. Per Ankh meaning the house of life. And in the house of life, for us in our culture, any child that's born at the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 14, that child needs to enter the temple, or what we call the initiatic temple, camps, where the person needs to, whether he or she, where the person needs to, learn how to, to know themselves, who they are, what they're here for, and how they should be going about things and all of that. So that's really like what we call Per Ankh, the house of life. And the second level is Unishifi. Unishifi is like after being, actually you come out of Perang as an adult. It doesn't matter how age. Because to talk about someone being like an elder or being like an adult, it depends on how the person is what kind of intellectual, spiritual, and moral, luggage, baggage the person have, So you come out of the initiation camp as an elder, and also that's what I think a lot of people call like the rite of passage. So that's what we call like the initiation. So after that you get to be in Inoshifi, which is really like the meaning would be like someone who now you know what you came for. Now you're carrying it to really continue, kind of take it to where it needs to be. And then, yes.
Yeah, because when you come out of that process, you just said so that you know what you're here for. You're actually given a name, an earth reading name, aren't you? Yes. So once you go through that process, you're given
the earth name. Yeah, normally after every rite of passage, after you taking the initiation and you come out, before you come off the initiation, the elders and the priesthood will be doing what we call the Mtam science, which is the geomancy. The Greeks call it the geomancy, like using, kind of questioning the earth. If the earth remember you, your spirit being on it at some point, either way somewhere in somebody, in a body somewhere else, the spirit will, the earth will be questioned. Now, when the earth is questioned, this person, this son of this, your daughter of this has, been taken the journey to be reborn again in the house of life. Now they want to get out to really kind of now face life, or live life. So what will be the name that they need to answer? Now that name will have to come from that, and then as we say, no man as omen. You know your name, your destiny. So once you know your name, you know your destiny. Now, if you don't know your name, you don't know your destiny. And if you don't know your destiny, you don't know your name either. So that's really like, any initiate who finish Perang level comes up with an initiatic name that tells them how to go, about life. My initiatic name is Iritah, meaning the companion or the friend of the earth. Why that name? Because, I have to be traveling around helping the earth, helping people survive on earth, helping life on earth and all of that. So that's the destiny that, I see. They saw fit my arrival this time on earth. So then they give me that name. Yours is Katasta.
Meditation of Aishat, the deity Aishat. So,
assessment.
Yes. Okay, so if anyone wants to contact, anyone in the Midlands wants to walk in, come into this knowledge, come into the temples, you can call, or if you just want any more information, because I know you're also in Coventry, Naba. So if people want to because you also do consultations, you do health consultation, do spiritual reading. So all of these things are open as well. So for the Coventry School, you can contact 0247-626-6859 or mobile 07305995944. There's also a meetup.com/ec-Coventry. And you can also, those events that I just mentioned, you can look up at Just Tickets, they're on there. And there are £7 per event. But the orientation, which is the last lecture, which is going to be held, well, it's not actually a lecture, but you're going to get a lot of information, so it's going to be like a lecture. The last orientation, Saturday, the 22nd of June, 4 till 7 p.m., that one is free. And that's at the Earth Centre, Coventry, 18 Biggin Hall Crescent, Coventry CV3 1GS. So that's the Coventry lecture. Now we're also going to have lectures at the London School, and that lecture is going to be held on the 15th of this month, 15th of June, and I believe it's 6:30 till 7, as I'm trying to pull up the information here. Naba will be talking about, let me just make sure I get the correct information. Right, so at the Earth Centre London, we have, let's have a quick look here. Earth Centre London, we just had. Right, so I know you're going to be talking about ancestral lineage, the importance of family, a Dogon perspective. The importance of family, a Dogon perspective, and that's going to be at the London School, which is based in Leytonstone. And that's going to be on the 15th of June, 15th of this month. That's also a part of a lecture series. It's not an orientation series, but it is a lecture series. So it's the importance of family, a Dogon perspective. That's at the London School, and that's 6:30 till 8:30 p.m. Naba will be giving a lecture there, 21 Sunnyside Road, Leyton, E10 7BB. If you want to contact the London School, you can contact 027 175 4144. That's 027 175 4144. Or you can email inquiries uk@theearthcentre.org, or you can go on the website www.theearthcentre.org. You can also, if you want to purchase either the podium, there's the Egyptar, there's the
Book of Purifications.
Book of Purification. So this is the Initiatic Tales, Hejpatar. Wonderful, 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 wonderful book. I love all of them, but this one is really good because it gives you some really good stories, and in their tales, let's say, and in there they have such powerful meaning. So the Initiatic Tales of Hejpatar. We have the Book of Purification. As Naba would say, if you were going to go before royalty, your so-called queen or any dignitary, you would make sure you purify yourself before you go before these people who are human beings like you and I. If you're going to go before the world of the gods, there's a way to purify yourself. So this Book of Purification, written by Naba Lamusa Morondenibeg and his son, Naba Iritah Shemnira, who's right here in the studio. The Rising Firefly, there's many volumes of the Rising Firefly. Naba, do you want to tell us a little bit about what we find in the Rising Firefly, any of these things?
Yeah, in the Rising...
Or even the Book of Purification.
Well, the Book of Purification, first of all, is a work that Master Naba started. And actually, he died before we were able to finish working on it. And then, publishing it. It was a book that was introducing even like the average Joe, the novice, how to, purify themselves, at least even in their house, purify everything. Anything you think you have that's like spiritual, that's like energetic, how to purify all of that. So it gives you like the words of power. It gives you like the power, the chants to use in the purification, and how to do the purification, and what to use to do the purification and all of that. So you can purify a lot of things with water, which is like the basic way of purification, as you said, to go see like if the Queen Elizabeth II invites me to come see her, I'm going to have to dress certain way. I'm going to have to dress sharp in the way that, she will accept me. The same way when you want to reach the world of the God or the world of the dead, you have to have a way that you present yourself to. So water is like, the main thing that we use. Apart from water, we have air. You can use air to do your purification. You can use fire to do your purification, meaning the heat to do your purification. Like you can use also earth, to do your purification, the earth energies, the earth to do your purification. So this book introduced people at the basic, the foundation of spirituality, how to become spiritual. Now the Rising Firefly is a magazine that we produce every 3 months, and that magazine has within it the traditional horoscope, meaning the astrology of the Dogons, meaning what is the how do you call it? It tells you what you should expect, in the month, for your life, things to happen in your life and all of that, like financially, professionally, sentimentally, health-wise, in general, it tells you at least a little bit of what you should be expecting, and that help you to adjust yourself, in the month that, it's telling you to adjust yourself. But all that is based on the earth energy readings, that astrology or horoscope is based on that. And then there's a bunch of articles, talking about a lot of big subjects of spirituality, and even big subjects of actual life or things happening in life. Yeah.
So if you want to purchase any of these, you can do through, and that's also the Kemetic sidereal calendar, which Naba spoke to earlier. You can purchase those for any of those numbers. You can call and you can get information. There's many more things. If you want to come in and sit on the initiation, people are given that opportunity to sit on one day to come and have a look at 6 hours, to have a look at the different classes that are held. So Medus,
don't forget, we shouldn't forget to mention also that we have some teas,
that's
traditional
right,
teas, natural teas that you can drink to help fatigue, a lot of things that's going on with the body. So those teas are very powerful, and they are like very, very old remedies, and most of them are coming from the savannah, in Africa, and all of them.
We have kind of gone over time. I know there is another brother in the studio. I don't know if he's still going to answer. We've actually still got more questions, but we will have you here next week with us again, will we?
I'll be here.
So let's not take too much from you, because we need to save some from next week.
Yeah.
So next week we are going to do this again, where we are going to put Naba back under the spotlight, and we're going to dig deep in the traditions to reveal the wisdom of our ancestors.
Thank you very much.
So you have been in tune to the Wisdom of the Nile show. Our teacher, it's not our guest, it's our teacher, our priest, our brother, has been sharing with us wisdom from the Nile. Thank you for tuning in to the Wisdom of the Nile show. We are going to now close the show with some traditional music. We started. Yes, I was going to say we started one with Makaru. Should we give them the same one, or should we give them?
The second one is good.
The other one.
Second one is good.
Oh, Naba.
Oh, okay.
We're going to hold it for one moment, because I think there's one more burning question. They won't let you go. They won't let you go.
I'm
okay,
ready.
So we have a question from our brother. Could you give our brother the mic, please, so that he can... They won't let you go so easy, Naba.
I know.
Checky, 1, 2.
One, two.
Right. Greetings, brother, again.
Greetings.
Round 2.
Yeah, give thanks.
All right.
Right.
I have got 285 questions to ask you. Yeah.
Not all tonight.
It's in here. All right. Well, I will just stick to 2. Yeah.
Okay.
I got one here. Let me see what I got a shopping this year, but next time we can deal with it. All right.
Okay.
First question. Obviously, it's a simple question that most people will ask you. I don't know if you've answered it already. Where do we come from?
Where do we come from?
Yeah,
as
like
human?
on this planet. Yeah, no, as a race on this planet, some people would think we were created from water. Some say we come from the sea. Some say we come from other planets. Some say them come from monkey. Where do we come from?
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting into evolutionism and all of that, right?
Yep.
Darwinism.
Yeah.
Now all of those are just ism. So let's talk the real facts, okay? It's going to take us long. I think I will just maybe save it for the next week, because that's like what we call the cosmogony.
Yeah.
In our culture, we have what we call the cosmogony, and the creation story. The way our ancestors perceive existence to be. So that's going to take us all the way to even talking about the holy drama, what we call like a holy drama. So maybe you should take note of that, cosmogony and the holy drama. And then next week we can get into that, and that will give us an idea of who we are, where we're coming from, and why we're here.
You never answered the question though.
Yeah, I'm gonna answer it next week.
Okay, all right then. All right,
Yeah,
all right. I'm not gonna rub that one
week.
out.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it's a big, it's a big subject.
Topic, isn't it?
Yeah, big topic, and I'm gonna have to go through many things to be able to get it clean, for you to understand.
All right,
so
people.
I don't
next
want
week.
to just kind of say like we're coming from here or there.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Cool, okay.
Yeah.
I'll allow you that.
Next week, I'll be ready for you. For
right.
that.
So, listeners, if you want to know where you come from, next
Tune
week.
in.
All right. Now, my second question. Yeah, this one goes out to the youngers on the street. Yeah. Karma. All this killing, senseless killing that some of the young ones are getting themselves into. Yeah, someone caught in a path of life where sometimes you just get catch up in a thing and you end up have to defend yourself for the rest of a little while, or sometimes people run into this bad man thing. Now, as an experienced elder, karma, what are the consequences of these young youths actually killing one another? What is the consequences of this according to the custom of the Dogon?
That's a good question. In the place where I'm coming from, you never see something like that. First of all, okay, you never see something like that. And why? Because we have what we call education. We have what we call initiation. And we have now what nowadays we call, like academy, which is like instruction. Okay. And in these societies, the kids that's born is born in a society where he or she get to skip 2 level of becoming. Okay, like, is it intentional? Is it just like ignorance or intentional? That will be our leaders to be the one to respond to that. Okay, the leaders of these societies to be the one to respond to that. At the age of already 3, 4, 5, 6, a child is taken away from the mother and the father, because the mother and the father have to go work, and the child is put in the hands or in the care of a whole total stranger. That the child gets to spend more time with that stranger than the parent, the biological parents, or than the family. The child gets to, if the child is going to school, that child gets to spend more time at school. Now, even when the child goes home and then the mother and the father are back in the house, it's just like to cook, maybe watch TV, meaning like the child being educated by someone else, a third person, which is not the mother, which is not the father, which is not the grandmother or the grandfather, but TV. Okay? And then the next thing is like everybody go to bed. So technically the parents don't even get a chance to be with their children, for more than 5 hours a day. We have 24 hours in a day. For more than 4 hours, 5 hours a day, you cannot educate a human being. But education happens in the house. Education doesn't happen outside in the street. No. Education happens in the house. Education happens where you call home. Education happens where your parents are. Your parents educate you. Your family educates you. When you go outside also will need to have a system. And that system needs to be what we call initiation, the rite of passage. At the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you are being educated by your parents. By the time you reach the age of 15, you need to start going through the rite of passage. You are being now initiated. And by the time you finish your initiation, then instruction. Society will start now instructing you on what you need to be doing. But in the modern societies, society is set up in the way that you just jump from birth to instruction. You're not being educated. You're not being initiated. You're just being instructed to do things. It's like a robot. The way you command the robot, that's what it is. So that child is being instructed to do things. In a situation where that child is instructed not to do, is not instructed, the child doesn't know what to do. And then it's like what is compared to an animal. Because the child does not have education. Because education tells me what to do, what not to do. Initiation tells me what I'm capable of and what I should be doing. And now instruction, the society tells me where to direct all of that. Now, in the society where you just skip like education, you skip like, initiation, and you just want the children to be instructed to do things, like pumping like, other people's brain in them. That kind of human being, they find themselves in a situation where the person does not have anyone to instruct them. They're almost like an animal. And they just have to act as so, And then one thing, our parents, the parents in this society need to understand, like children are not children. Stop dealing with children as adults. Children are children because they have this big, way of perceiving life. Like their horizon of perception is big. So to the point where you can take them anywhere. So that's why we educate them. That's why you discipline them. That's why you make sure they are in certain lines. They don't go outside of those lines to the point where whatever they came that they have it in, and then it's serving them. Here, people don't have things that serve them.
So what is the consequences of them taking another life?
The consequence is so big.
Give me an example.
Once you take someone's life, even in our commandment, in our temples, we don't take life. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill. When you take someone's life, you become like a spiritual criminal. Spiritually, you are, like maybe in this society, they will treat you as a criminal and they will put you in jail, or whether they will just kill you back. Even that person killing you, thinking they're making the law on you, is also a spiritual criminal. Spiritual criminal means what? Spiritual criminal means that at some point in your life, or at the end of your life, the history of your life will play for you. And then at the time where you're going to be transcending, you're going to be blocked. You're not going to transcend. Especially when you kill someone and then you kill the person in the way that the person is spilling blood. Like, shooting or stabbing or anything like that where the person spills blood. Like the blood that the person spills on earth is like a stamp that never goes away. Okay, it's like stamp. That stamp doesn't go away. So that spirit that you kill will always come back to that point. To the point where even yourself, the person who killed that person, will always, when they die too, they don't go. They have to always come back there.
So that's where their spiritual journey ends, when they take a life.
You finish. You're not becoming anymore.
All right.
We call it like you start scrambling in the universe.
So there be wandering spirits.
And they disappear.
Okay, so they're the ones that go around at night making noise.
Making noise and then, chasing people.
Yeah, man, I know about some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. My next question is from the book. Yeah. It's interesting. So lots of comments. I would advise the listeners to actually check the book. Even just reading the contents alone gives you quite a lot of information. You don't need to have to read the book. Just read the contents, so you get the picture. Right. My question is from the book.
Yeah.
The love message and its messengers. Explain that to me.
The love message and and the messenger. Okay, let me just use one example. Christianity promote love, saying Jesus came for love, like Christianity is for love and peace, right? But when you look, we have churches growing at every corner of the block. We have churches growing at every stop sign. But we have more and more crime, more and more hate, more and more violent. Something's wrong. If someone is not lying, someone is just evil. So you cannot be, promoting love, and while you're promoting love and you're growing bigger, where the system even injecting a lot of money into what you're doing, but at the same time, crime and hate and violence also growing. Either you are the carrier of that message, you are the messenger of those things, hate, violence, and all of that, crime, or you just doing your work wrongly. You're just doing it wrong.
So what you're saying is if the church was doing their job correctly, the love message would go out.
Go out. It will reach everyone, So that's why we in that chapter, my father was talking about, how, you can be kind of so dishonest. Things are just right in front of you, but there's a lot of dishonesty. Or maybe just conditioning. That gets you not to see what's happening. But for a brain, that is a good brain. Love, and the messenger of love should be himself lovable. You don't come to say that you bring a message of love and then you end up hanging on the cross. Doesn't work like that. I mean, that makes sense.
That answer sounds like kind of Christianish to me, like directly, like you don't.
It's like even like in Islam, you don't come saying like you're bringing a message of love, because Islam is is like a religion of peace, and a lot of that. You don't come saying like you come bringing a message of peace, and then somehow you end up being chased out of Mecca. I didn't say that, but Mahomet was chased out of Mecca at some point, and then things like that. Violence, those two Abrahamic religions are just like doing something wrong. And then they just have to, at some point, stop and go back to where they took everything and ask for advice of how to deal with, how to go about humanity. We don't want to be the one, to be ruling humanity again. We just want to at least have the credit of, we own you. That's all we just need for the one ruling this, Babylonian system to understand, like, we made him, we own him, and he is a child that got astray. But even though he got astray, a father is still a father. A mother is still a mother. Even if when you go wrong, if you find the humility to come back home to your father or to your mother, they will still, welcome you with a open arm. Oh, welcome back. Hoping, because we pray that, we pray that our child doesn't go all the way wrong. We pray that one day that child gets to change.
And that's what this movement is all about as well.
This is what this movement is all about. You go home, your parents receive you and tell you, this is why you've been doing things wrong. So change that. But if the system has to tell, imagine, France, France or England have to admit that they don't know, and anything they've been doing is a guess. They've been leading America. They've been leading the whole humanity from guess to guess. From guess to guess. Now, after leading a whole humanity from guess to guess, and one day tell the humanity that's what we've been doing, it's not going to be good. That's going to be like actually what we would call like the universal revolution. Because the whole humanity will have to retaliate at that moment. And that's not going to be good. But that's going to be good but because, certain seeds will disappear. And then for once, humanity will come back to one. Under the same rulership. That's what UN was supposed to be. After the World War II, it's not even a world war. European countries fighting and then they called it World War. Europe is not, the world. Europe is not the world. So you can call it World War. If Europe is fighting with China, or Europe is fighting with Japan, or America is fighting Japan, or anything like that, that's them. That's one part of the world is fighting. But we shouldn't call it World War. Okay? So somehow, since they are the one writing their own books, and they want educating, they have to educate people that way. And people think that there was like a World War First, World War Second. But the World War will be the day that everybody will say that this Babylonian system that has been, ruling is wrong. And has been doing it out of ignorance, and they didn't know what they're doing or what they're going. And that's going to be the World War.
Well, we can teach them the right way to go.
Yeah, they just have to be humble and come back too.
Okay, thank you. That's my two questions for this week.
Thank you.
Tune in next week, me and you, part 3.
No problem.
All right, cool.
Next week.
Okay, so you heard it right here on the Wisdom of the Nile show. We are going to close out with a tribute to
first one.
Naba. Is it another tribute to Naba Lamusa?
Yes, I think so. Let's listen.
Okay.
That's from King Bala.
King Bala. Naba Iritah, Duao for
thank you
sharing the information with us. It is in need, and at least people can. And I really want to say as well, give thanks to Bless Radio for hosting the show for us week after week. And you can get Bless Radio, www.blessradio.org. So give thanks to Bless for hosting us. And we want to say Iriharu for this week. And we look forward to seeing you again next week.
Afaga me vai, maheru,
No cigarette smoking in my room. Yeah. I Stephen Marley. Blessfm radio play good.
Them a wonder how Bless Radio do this. I see them come with tongue. Future prophet tell them clocks get longer. Eden heart it and it. Bless Radio, you don't know. Put the good music. Pray.
African people, if we would like to own our own schools, our own businesses, our own community development and skill